Good morning. It's Friday, right? This is great. Great news for the week. So I'm Sarah Poulain. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So I am the Executive Director of Family Connections, which is a family learning community for families with children, birth through fourth grade, serving families in East Palo Alto, Menlo Park, and Redwood City. I have been the Executive Director for about 16 months. It's new, it's exciting, it's phenomenal. My team is representing behind you. Thank you, guys. But before that, and how I came to this work and how I actually first engaged with Sudi and Carla and many of you in this room, is through my work at another nonprofit called Star Vista, where I started in 2005 as a mental health clinician, serving families with young children who've experienced domestic violence. And I had the great good fortune of spending about 12 years at Star Vista growing in the early childhood programs. And when I left, I was the not the executive director, the director. Sarah Mitchell would be really upset with me right now. The director of early childhood and family services. And so I've been graced with the ability to stay in my chosen field of work and to help underserved families when they're struggling and when they're doing well. So Sudi asked me to answer the question, why family engagement and why this work, and on some level, why Friday Cafe? And here's the thing. Our families are where we grow up. It's where we come from. It's what sustains us. Sometimes it's what holds us down. And learning how to navigate that and having supports to navigate those pieces are key to our becoming strong, resilient grown-ups who are in the world in ways that not only support us, but support others. We couldn't do the work we do without a support system. And the reason why I feel it's important to engage our families from when their children are born until they're grown and have their own families is because everybody deserves to feel connected and engaged and supported, whether it's in their children's learning, whether it's in their health, whether it's in how they navigate through the world. So that's why. And those of us who support families, children, humans on this planet also need support. And that's why Friday Cafe is here. Because we can't do this alone, right? We can't continue to sustain our deep well of resources. I strongly believe that people who are in the business of working with people have a deep well, a deep reserve of resources, and even that well can be drained. So today, part of what we're going to talk about is navigating, holding people in the face of challenges that exist in the world, and how, as we witness the struggles of the people that we work with, we ourselves are sustained, and how we can hold both their stuff and our stuff, and hopefully find ways to be held as well. How does that sound? Good. Good. Okay. So I'm going to try, my goal is that we all stay focused and grounded in this room as much as possible. That said, I acknowledge that it is Friday and everybody worked really hard to get here. And we may begin to think about what the next thing is. I'm going to help us get grounded in this room in a minute. But first, I'll just share the story of how I arrived here this morning to kind of level the playing field. I'll start with yesterday. So we had a very busy day at work yesterday. We got to honor one of our fantastic teachers, who I'm going to out by pointing to the back of the room. You don't have to say anything. I'm not going to make you say anything. But Angela, and so Family Connections is now in its 25th year of providing services to families in these communities. And Angela has been with us for the whole 25 years. She was our first teacher. She supported our first families here in East Palo Alto. And she is still here, thousands of children later. So we got to celebrate her yesterday with a Founders Day tea and thank her for all she has done. So that happened yesterday afternoon. I then jumped in my car, drove an hour and a half to San Jose, took a Taekwondo belt test, grabbed my child, went home, put him to bed, this whole time thinking, what am I going to do tomorrow? Because those of you who really know me know that while I may think of lots of things in advance, the concrete preparation is often right before it happens. This is just how I roll. It's a very organic process for me. So in my mind, Karen is laughing really hard right now. In my mind, I've been preparing for this for weeks. But in the actual execution, sometimes you have to show up in the room, right, to decide like how you're going to do what you're going to do. And as people were rushing in this morning and navigating signing in, I thought I'd have to share this piece. I got here early, you guys. I was in the parking lot at like, I don't know, 8:15. You know, just writing my notes. My best friend showed up. I'm outing you too. This is my best friend since we were young people. I'm not going to talk about how long because that will tell you how old we are, and that's not what we're talking about today. So I'm ready, and I got my backpack and my computer, and I've got my notes. I did write things down. Proof. And I go to the back of my car because I had a plan. I had some handouts, had some things, and I open the trunk, and the bag is not there. The bag is not there because in my proactive post-Taekwondo mind, yesterday evening at my home, I grabbed everything out of the trunk of the car, brought it into my house like I was going to do some more preparation. Which I didn't do, which is fine, because it was ready. But I then left that bag in my home as we careened out the door this morning to get here in time. So I could imagine that maybe people have different versions of that story as we begin our morning here together. So I want to ask us to just do this, because I need it, maybe you need it, but to just take a second. And if you'd like to stand up, that's cool, or sit in your chair, whatever. But let's just shake it out a little bit. Let's just shake off the getting here. Let's take a couple of deep breaths. I'm not going to tell you how. Do it in your own time, in your own way. And then let's just make an agreement. Let's make an agreement to just be as here as we can right now, today. As here as we can. I give you permission to get up if you need to get up, to use the restroom, to stand in the other room, whatever you need to do to be here today. We love having you in the room, and the world won't end if you miss 5 minutes of me standing up here talking. Even better news, I'm not going to talk at you the whole time. I'm actually going to stop talking in a bit, and you guys are going to talk to each other. Because one of the things, as you know, so we've been working on Friday Cafe now for a while and taking feedback, and Sudie and Carla are super good at taking all that in and processing it and coming up with like, this is what people think. So here's a couple things I learned, which I probably knew, but you know, it's good to have it reinforced. People want to connect with other people, you guys. What? And sometimes it's hard to do. Because I can look around at how we're sitting, and unless like 4 or 5 or 6 people came together and they're filling up a whole table, like most of us are sitting in a place where we feel somewhat comfortable, right? Like, I feel okay sitting here. You may or may not have made eye contact with the person across from you. That's okay. But these are the people you're going to spend a couple hours with today. And so we're going to provide some opportunity to get to know each other a little bit better. Now, you might also not know this thing about me, is that while I can stand up here and talk with you today pretty comfortably, what people who have worked with me and currently work with me probably know is that if you tell me that I need to go engage with a stranger in a room like this, when I might not be ready, a couple of things could happen. One of the things that might happen is me saying, oh, hell no. So that's real, right? Or I might just be like, ooh, I have to go to the restroom right now. And I might just leave the room. I see the nodding. Yes. Yes, so I have mastered the art of standing up and talking about stuff. And yet engaging with others is hard. It's hard. So I was not surprised to hear from Sudie this piece of like, yes, we want to engage and we come and we talk to each other at our tables where we've sat down because we're comfortable. But that other step of engaging with people we don't know is something that we haven't really done. So I'm going to offer you an opportunity not this minute, but in a little bit, to take one small step in the direction, in a very safe space, of doing something you might not normally do, which is sit with a stranger or two strangers or four strangers. It may or may not be possible in this room, Annette, I see you looking around, I don't know. And have some conversation about things that matter. Sound okay? Okay. So we are here. We're going to just I had some questions today that I thought we could talk about and answer together. I'm going to tell you what the questions are. Then I'm going to read you something to get us more present in the room, and then we'll kick some things off. But so part of what I was asked to come here and talk about is really like we are living in challenge times. It is hard to be here. It's hard for our families to be here, and we can talk more about that. And so we're trying to navigate how we support our families and support ourselves and probably other people that we may or may not name today, and be okay and feel grounded and connected. And where can we talk about that? What that's like, what we're struggling most with, what we need support in. And so here today, for a little while, I'm hoping to create that space. Okay? All right. So here are the questions we're hoping to answer today. I'll pick up my paper and read it. Oh, I didn't even put on my glasses. Here we go. Okay.
It's in your bag.
I know. With the papers and the pens. No, I'm fine, thank you. No, I'm sure there's like abundant sources of reading glasses. I think I can navigate. The first question I'm going to ask is, why are we here? Right? What called you to show up today? And we'll do that in a minute, and it'll just be whoever wants to answer that question. The next question is, why do we do what we do? So we're acknowledging that this is hard, but we're doing it. Why do we do that? What do we notice happening around us? What's up for the people? What do we notice about what's happening around us? What's up for the people we're supporting? What is the most challenging thing about what we're facing, about what we're navigating with the people that we support? Or maybe it's the people in our office. I do want to name this. There are people here who do many different roles. So I'm not functioning under the assumption that everybody walks out of wherever they walk out of and goes directly to a family's house and works directly with them, but that we work within systems that support people in this community. And that impacts all of us. So just to hold that piece. So what's most challenging about what we're facing? How do we manage? Because as I kept thinking about resources and supports, I thought, we're all still here doing this work. So we're doing something, right? What is that? Because maybe the thing I do that may or may not be working well for me might work for someone else. Maybe there's just more of that thing that I could be doing. I don't know. But we can talk about that. And then, of course, what do we need, right? So we're going to talk about what resources, internal resources we're currently using. But what do I need? I will tell you honestly, that does not come from me. So I'm just going to tell you now, in advance, I don't have the answer, but you do. So there's that. And those are and then we'll kind of like do something that feels good at the end to make sure you don't walk out of here going, why am I doing that? So there'll be a little bit of that. Does that sound okay? So a couple of conversations, some thinking, and we'll keep rolling. Sound good? Once we're settled in again, I'll ask that we just kind of come back. Thank you. I'm going to it's an echoey room. So I'm gonna try to speak as clearly as possible. If you can't hear me, raise your hand, I'll try to project more, but I think the shape of the room and the bodies in it just has an impact. So, all right. Who knows who Maya Angelou is? Yay! So Maya Angelou is a poet and was an amazing poet and author and essay writer. And I thought, and she was really about the world and good things happening in the world. And so I thought I would just get us into our space by reading a little bit from her this morning. So you can get comfortable in your chairs. Just relax. This is On the Pulse of the Morning. A rock, a river, a tree, hosts to species long since departed, marked the mastodon, the dinosaur who left dry tokens of their sojourn here on our planet floor. Any broad alarm of their hastening doom is lost in the gloom of dust and ages. But today, the rock cries out to us clearly, forcefully. Come, you may stand upon my back and face your distant destiny, but seek no haven in my shadow. I will give you no hiding place down here. You, created only a little lower than the angels, have crouched too long in the bruising darkness, have lain too long face down in ignorance, your mouths spilling words armed for slaughter. The rock cries out today, you may stand on me, but do not hide your face. Across the wall of the world, a river sings a beautiful song. Come, rest here by my side. Each of you, a bordered country, delicate and strangely made, proud, yet thrusting perpetually under siege. Your armed struggles for profit have left collars of waste upon my shore, currents of debris upon my breast. Yet today, I call you to my riverside. If you will study war no more, come, clad in peace, and I will sing the songs the Creator gave to me when I and the tree and the stone were one. Before cynicism was a bloody sear across your brow, and when you yet knew, you still knew nothing. The river sings and sings on. There is a true yearning to respond to the singing river and the wise rock. So say the Asian, the Hispanic, the Jew, the African and Native American, the Sioux, the Catholic, the Muslim, the French, the Greek, the Irish, the rabbi, the priest, the sheik, the gay, the straight, the preacher, the privileged, the homeless, the teacher. They hear. They all hear the speaking of the tree. Today, the first and last of every tree speaks to humankind. Come to me here beside the river. Plant yourself beside me here beside the river. Each of you, descendant of some passed on traveler, has been paid for. You who gave me my first name, you Pawnee, Apache, and Seneca, you Cherokee Nation who rested with me then, forced on bloody feet, left me to the employment of other seekers, desperate for gain, starving for gold. You, the Turk, the Swede, the German, the Italian, the Scot, you, the Ashanti, the Yoruba, the Kru, bought, sold, stolen, arriving on a nightmare, praying for a dream. Here, root yourselves beside me. I am the tree planted by the river, which will not be moved. I the rock, I the river, I the tree. I am yours. Your passages have been paid. Lift up your faces. You have a piercing need for this bright morning dawning for you. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, and if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Lift up your eyes upon the day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream. Women, children, men, take it into the palms of your hands. Mold it into the shape of your most private need. sculpted into the image of your most public self. Lift up your hearts. Each new hour holds new chances for new beginnings. Do not be wedded forever to fear, yoked eternally to brutishness. The horizon leans forward, offering you space to place new steps of change. Here, on the pulse of this fine day, you may have the courage to look up and out upon me, the rock, the river, the tree, your country, no less to Midas than the mendicant, no less to you now than the mastodon then. Here, on the pulse of this new day, you may have the grace to look up and out and into your sister's eyes, into your brother's face, your country, and say simply, very simply, with hope, good morning. So now I get to ask the question that a mentor of mine often asks when she begins any kind of thing. Why are you here today? I'm trying not to look directly into anybody's eyes so they don't think I'm asking them. Go ahead.
I'm here because I want to be here.
With what?
I wanted to be here. Right. So when my coordinator suggested that I would have it, I said yes, I'm here, and that's how I ended up here this morning.
Wonderful. I love that you wanted to be here. Thank you. Why are you here? Yes.
I'm here for the same reason I say to all the families I work with, we were not created to walk this journey alone. Life is too hard, and we need a community of people around us that we can lean on and share information that will listen to us, and we can listen to them. We can't do it by ourselves.
We can't do it by ourselves. We need a community. Thank you. Yes.
The well is dry, and so I knew that you were going to be here. I'm feeling well, so I'll be real honest I came to see you.
I love you. And the well runs dry, right? And we need to be refilled. So I pull on yet another. I'm looking at Aurora because Aurora has known me my whole life doing all of this. Yes. And one of the things that we talk a lot about in the work that we have done in the past, and we are talking about it more now, I'm looking at Jenny. So, in order to support our families, right? Our families need a safe place and secure base. We talk a lot to parents about their children need a safe place, a secure base, a safe haven from which to go out to explore the world and to which to return to get their cup filled. Shawnees. So today, I'm the hands, so that you can go out into the world and be the hands, so that the parents you're serving, the adults you're serving, everyone you're serving can then be the hands for the people who need them to be the hands. The well is dry. Thank you, Shawnees. Couple more people, why are you here? Yes.
The Golden State Warriors have the t-shirt Strength in Numbers. And I want to be in a place where I'm with people who are strong, who need the strength from the little of which I could give. To help, you need that strength to help the families, or in myself, I help to help the teachers, help children. And just to be with familiar people.
Community, strength in numbers, right? Feeling resourced and connected so that the seeds we put into the world grow into a garden, right? Thank you. One more. Why are you here? Karen.
So some of you know, for the last few months, I've been dealing with some medical, physical injury things that are kind of serious, and I'm going to need surgery. But anyway, during those 7 weeks, I was home by myself, every day, and it got really, really depressing. So I'm back at work now on a modified schedule. But I noticed that I really need connection. I really need, like they talk about the social supports, especially for moms with new babies because they're so isolated. It's so important, and that this recent experience just reminded me of how much we really need each other. And just like being back at work, even though it's like a modified schedule, it just like lifted my spirits. And I'm just like, okay, that's like, eating and breathing. Like we need each other. So that's,
Thank you.
and it's my job, but mainly for
Can we just stick with the... So I was like this, like, awesome, thank you for being here. Like, it's my job. Well, all right, fine. Karen and I also, way back. Thank you. It's hard to sit in isolation. It is hard to sit in isolation. And many of us have roles where we are like, so think about my teams who used to, my former teams who still home visit. See, it gets complicated when you've been here for a while. My current team who is just like, we're all over the place, right? We're all in different places, and it gets lonely. Whether it's just there's nobody right there around you, whether it's that so I'm an executive director now. I don't really have a crew, you know what I'm saying? But here it doesn't matter, right? So there is this piece of whether it's our role, whether it's our physical geography, whether it's the busyness of what we're doing, whether it's illness that keeps us at home, whether we're depleted and we just can't, we need connection. We need each other. Just like our families need us, right? Because this is a hard world to navigate alone. And we weren't meant to do it that way, right? Thank you. I'm here because I love this space. I want everyone who is out there doing this incredibly hard work to feel that there is a space for them. Once a month, they have a home here. And that in between that time, you have people. You may not have come in here today knowing that you have people, but my hope is that you leave here today knowing you have people. Okay? You guys want to talk to each other a little bit? Maybe? Maybe I just want to stop talking? I don't know. It could be either. So here's what we're going to do. Sorry, this is me. Sorry, I often pause in the middle of things because my brain is doing something different and trying to decide if I'm going to go one way or another. So if you just see me freeze, I'm okay. So I would ask that if you are at a table where you know the majority of people, just find another seat. I want to make this easy. I was going to count off, and then it was going to be this whole big everyone's going to move. But I think that if you know most of the people at your table, maybe wander to someplace where like maybe you don't. There's like at least 2 people or 3 people you don't know. That's my request. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to navigate that. I won't look at you or call you out. I won't remember in 5 minutes where you were sitting. So I'm going to ask you to just hold that accountability for yourself. And
Are we coming back here? Like, should we take our stuff or?
I would take it with you if you're going to go somewhere. Okay. That's what I would do. And make sure you're at a table with enough people to have a conversation with. So if you could give me a second. If you can just give me a second. Thank you. You're going to have so much time to talk to each other. I know it's already popping. Okay, here's what I'd love. Here's what I would love. Just a quick around the table, if you moved, if you didn't move, whatever. Hi, my name is so-and-so. I work here. Just so everybody knows who's at their table. And then we'll have a conversation. Here's the conversation. It's a conversation in a few parts. Don't worry, you don't have to take notes or present out or take a quiz. We're good. But I would like, at the end of this conversation, to just get a sense of what it was all like, okay? So just hold that. Okay, here's what I'm going to ask you to talk about. A, why So this is right. Hi, my name is so-and-so. Everyone goes around the table. Why do we do this work? At this table, each of us for a minute or so. Why do I do this work? 2, what is it that I'm noticing in the environment around me, in the clients that I serve, in general? What is it that I'm noticing? And then how am I the most challenged? What am I pushing up against the most? So those 3 things are the things that I would love for you guys to talk about together. And we're going to have about 20 minutes total for all 3 of the questions. Is it helpful for me after 5 or so minutes to like what time increments would you like me to give you reminders at? You need 1 reminder in the middle? Yeah. So about 10 minutes in? Okay. And then we'll go to the end. Okay? And go! All right. Wow, you guys. Oh, jazz hands, jazz hands. Oh my goodness, the energy, you guys. It changed. Right? Can you feel that? There's like a hum. There's like a hum in the room. What was so interesting to me is people were talking, it's the differences. And the differences in how we started out and how we ended up. So at first there was a certain level of intensity of like, we're leaning in. We have a lot to say. We're going to say it. And then there was kind of like an opening up and a sitting back, and shoulders kind of went down and smiles started to come out, and there was laughter, right? What a shift. Are your cups feeling more full? Yeah? A little bit more full, like the level of good energy is beginning to rise? Okay, that's good. That's good, because in about an hour, I'm going to send you back out into the world. The energy just goes, whoop. I'm just kidding. No, it's fine. It's Friday. It's a good thing. How was that? Can I just ask that people just share, how was that?
Yes, it was good to hear different people doing different things, different things at the table. So I can hear what they're doing and say, oh, I can use this part from what I do, but they're doing different things.
So it was great to hear. It's like we're all coming, not all, but like from slightly different spaces, right? And yet there is so much there, right? That I can kind of take some things like, like that feels like it might work. And you can kind of say, okay, that thing applies to their thing, but this is cool, right? Thank you. Other thoughts? How was it? Yes.
I'd say also kind of the flip side to that, I feel like there's a lot of similarities and a lot of like our personal stories sort of continue into our work and why we do things. And it's nice to have that kind of connection, like-minded, like soul people. I don't know.
Kindred spirits? Maybe. But you're right, like, so on some level, while we may have landed in different places, right, different roles, different responsibilities, the pull, right, the backstory, the thing that brought us to this room, there's a lot that's similar, right? Well, we're people who help, right? How was it? Anyone else?
It may have been said, I didn't know that I quite heard everything she said, but and you said it earlier, this is we, this is us.
Yeah.
This is collaboration. This is, I don't have the power to do this alone. No way, I need a lot of things.
So do we all.
Yeah. But I mean, it forges ahead. I believe there's this spiritual piece, but it's really comforting to know that even in the angst and the struggles, that there's unity.
Yes.
Whatever our backgrounds, wherever what our focus is on, and you talked about that, and it was very obvious. And it's comforting to know, wow, she does exactly how I do. They're doing the same work over there, So, yeah.
We're not alone. And we need each other, right? Yes. You have it. Here you have it. Any last, how was that? Yes.
I absolutely love the idea of cultural diversity.
Yes.
Because in this single, I realized that how much backgrounds and previous education or previous upbringing, how much that influence the things that we do, the job that we do, and how passionate and how mindful of those backgrounds we are, and we put it into our work that we do. So I think that is just amazing. And that this diversity, and I admire what you're doing because their background, their cultural difference is just amazing. I'm talking about
So our culture informs who we are and how we do what we do, right? And at the same point in time, we are in this beautiful mix. That's why I love the Bay Area, right? We're in this beautiful mix of all these cultures converging, right? And yet somehow we all landed in this room doing this work, all of us from different places, from different spaces with different stories. And it's that diversity that makes us so special.
special, and not only that, but how it affects our jobs and the incredible job that we do, to enrich the young mind. So that's amazing.
And I think our capacity to hold that our culture and our diverseness along with our sameness is important, right? It helps us think about that then in relation to who we're connecting with and who we're serving, right? And so I would venture to say it helps us honor what other people bring to the mix as well. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So you guys were kind of getting to this as I heard conversations continue to wrap up, but I'd like to spend a little time, and I'm going to check myself because we're good. Because the next piece of this is like, what do you do, right? Like, so I know why I do what I do, right? I know what the people I'm working with are struggling with, right? I know what I'm struggling with. What now, right? Because I could just be like, thank you, good day, goodbye, have a nice Friday. I'm not like that. That's not right. Wouldn't be fair. But I also don't have the answer. So I'm going to say a couple things, and then I'd like you to have the conversation. How are you here today? Like, so with walking into this room with no new resources this minute, right? Like, with all the things that you've discussed at your tables about what you struggle with and what our families struggle with, how are you here? How did you do that? That's amazing, right? And we've had these conversations about highlighting that for our families. Like, I know you feel under-resourced. I know you feel depleted. I know you feel like you've got nothing, but you're here. So you have something. Let's uncover that, right? Let's uncover that a little bit. So I want to say this. So the pieces of paper that I left in my trunk and then in my house had some things on them. Okay, I'll tell you a couple things. So one of the books, and my former team knows about this book, but I want to share this as a resource with you guys. It's called Trauma Stewards. Trauma Stewardship, yeah?
Monday, if there's still space, Monday,
Is there a training?
for our training in Berkeley.
All right. Concrete resource number one.
If you can get there, she is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
This is amazing. So it's trauma stewardship. You can pass it around the room. I just have sticky notes that I'm not going to use, so it's fine. in my organized brain, I was, going to reference stuff and do that magical stuff that other speakers do. I didn't do it. But the point of the book is that, look, this that we're doing is hard work. It's intense work, and we are impacted, right? Our community is impacted. I think I heard the words toxic stress floating around earlier, toxic environments, trauma, right? All of those things. And even if we haven't had a direct traumatic experience, which many of us may have, right? So let's not ignore what we bring to the story. But our clients have, and our communities feel intense and charged right now. And we are in a toxic environment right now. We're in an environment where the hostility is being given permission to grow. And so we used to talk about, as we talked about doing the clinical work, what do you do when the trauma isn't over, right? And so there's this piece, many pieces in trauma stewardship. There's an inventory about, like, how do you know, right, if maybe some of this is impacting you. There's 16 things. And then there's some resources on, like, what people who have a level of resilience and can balance these things and still go out and do good and live good lives have. That's where I'd like us to sit for a little while. So I'm gonna put in, okay, let me back up. So I'm gonna give you that in a minute to just think about as you have this conversation. But the other thing that I wanna say is, because I heard the word self-care floating around out there. And self-care, I think sometimes we take that on as like an activity we get to check off, like, oh, I did self-care today. Got my nails done, whee, right? Got a massage, woo, right? Took a bath, right? That's what we check, right? Self-care is a practice. It's a practice. And practices are lengthy and take effort and practice and time and mistakes and trying again and doing something that doesn't work and then doing something else, right? It's a practice. So as much as I want to give you some resources and show you these pieces, I would encourage you to think about, what are the things that I can bring in to my world on a daily basis that I can practice? Not just like, you're done. Not that that's a bad thing, it's a great thing. I like to get my hair did, it's nice. But you know what I'm saying. So with that, I will talk about 1, 2, 3, it's four things. 4 things. We can do 4 things, right? So the shared traits of stress-resistant persons. Doesn't that sound good? Like, I'm stress-resistant. Like, it just comes and it rolls off me. Comes in and rolls off me. Sometimes it goes in and I just kind of chew and it goes away. It's great. So one of those things where I maybe don't have right now, but a sense of personal control. Like, I am the owner of my stuff, right? Stress-resistant people perceive a connection between their own actions and how they feel. Is that number 2 or not? That's the first one. I am the boss of my stuff, right? They believe in their own capacity to influence the course of their lives, so a sense of personal control. I am in charge of my, not anybody else's, don't get confused, my life, my stuff, my thinking, my feeling, my doing, my being, me. That's one thing. Number 2, a pursuit, I can't read today, pursuit of personally meaningful tasks. They are present and engaged in their lives, and this helps them to be active instead of passive during challenging times. So there are things that I do that mean a lot to me and help me engage in the world. I do Taekwondo with my 7-year-old. It is terrifying. And I'm really present when I'm doing it because also it's confusing. So So there's this like, but it means a lot, right? Like, so I'm challenging myself to grow and do things that make me stronger, and I'm being a model for my child, and he thinks I'm crazy, which is, I think, a good thing, because it means he still likes me a little bit, which is great, but it means a lot. And that there are other things. So finding a thing, two things, some things that have deep meaning. As I was looking for things to read to you this morning, I realized the peace that I get from reading. Some of us get peace from music, from art, from going outside, all kinds of stuff. And when we have those things in our lives, we feel engaged. Healthy lifestyle choices. Now, sometimes I read a phrase like this and I'm like, oh man, that's the third one. Yeah, sorry. I'm like, I'm failing at this. Outside of Taekwondo, I'm failing at this. But I think about it, so I'll tell you what it says, and then I might add a little bit of this. But people show a decreased use or general avoidance of known dietary stimulants, like refined sugar, caffeine, and nicotine. And they seek out multiple periods of hard exercise each week, and they find time each day for a period of relaxation. Now, given the context of how hard most of us work, right? But I will add that we do the best we can to pay attention to the impact of the things we ingest and how they make us feel, and if it makes us feel bad, maybe we make a different choice. We pay attention to the fact that sometimes we just need to move our bodies. Sometimes I get stuck in my chair, and if I'm stuck in my chair too long, I just can't get out. I just like, and we stand up, and you'll hear the groans around our office. I'm like, I'm getting up. Oh. So then it's time to move, right? And so I don't like do jumping. We got a flight of stairs that's very painful in our office. That we groan our way. Marsha runs up the stairs. I think she's like, and I'm like, oh God. But you know, you're like, I should just go downstairs for a minute so I can walk back up the stairs, right? So like, incrementally, the ways in which we do our best to take care of ourselves, our whole selves. And then the fourth one, here we are today, social support. So people who are stress resistant have social support. They have relationships with others who can serve, I like this, as a buffer in dealing with difficult situations. You know, when you're like driving home, and you turn on the speakerphone and you dial up your friend because you won't be holding your phone because that's crazy and terrible. Not healthy choices. And you're just like, oh man, this day. Right? We need that. We need to just be able to say like, this day, this moment, this 10 hours, this year, whatever it is, like, just like get it out and let it go. And when we have that, we feel better, right? Okay, so in your groups, let's spend about 10 minutes just talking about how do I manage? How do I manage? Are any of these pieces in my life, or some of them, or none of them? What's going on? How do I manage? Because we never know that how in that conversation, right, something that somebody else says, like, lights a light bulb for us. And I'd like us to pay attention to that. Okay? Go. Just one more thing. Hi. So I'm like, what way can what's a different way to get everyone's attention? So I'm just gonna pace the middle of the room and talk until everyone is ready. That's what I'm gonna do. Hi, welcome back. Whoa, another like popping, energy-filled conversation, right? So we have one more thing to do, and then I'll release you into the world, but I would like just 3 people. How was that? What happened? What's up? Aurora.
The first thing I shared was, if my car owns a top,
If your car would only talk. What might it?
I say everything to my car.
Okay. So your car hears a lot.
Yes.
Your car is like your venting buddy. Okay. It's got some space. Thank you. Aurora's van is a good space for her stuff. Thank you. I saw your hand back here.
I thought you were asking the question of how was that to do together. So I thought it was pretty amazing. Our table was amazing, and I wanted to hear that what holds them. How do they navigate through the world? Because my subtle intention was I want to glean and grab it. If it's working for them, I could do that. And all of these ladies at my table here are pretty amazing. Good supports, and they take care of themselves with their lifestyle choices. And what I learned from her, she doesn't know this yet. She, it tells you, oh, you should eat. And I told them, oh, I do a diet and a keto, and then I quit and do all this.
Yeah.
But she listed all the things that she doesn't do, which is good. Like, so I don't drink coffee.
Nice.
So instead of me saying, oh, I eat a lot of donuts, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke cigarettes.
You just crossed off like 3 really big things off your list right there. Have some donuts, man.
I learned so much. Amazing. I'm having a great leader today.
Thank you so much, right? It's like this, like scooping it in, right? So many good things. Can I get one more? Karen.
Well, I thought it was like super fun and uplifting to connect with these folks. And we decided we're going to have a little texting chain, and we're going to like send each other positive, supportive stuff.
My whole brain just went like, easy, right? Too easy, right? Like, I don't know how to work all those things, but like the people I work with know that stuff, and so they're like, what are those? The ones that look like you but are Bitmoji, those ones. I get some Bitmojis, like so my admin team and I, like we do, like it's like the weekend and we're like, whatever it is, like I just did this, and then mainly Marsha and Lorena, because I don't know how to work that thing, the Bitmoji thing, but they have like, I get these little like, yay, like thank you, right, and it just like makes your whole day, or like a cute puppy, or like a goat, like all those things, right? Might have outed myself a little bit, like the cute small animals. Thank you, right? So we learned things on different levels, and some of us took action, right? And you have permission to take action, right? And you have permission to ask your people in this room to take some action with you, right? It's a practice. We're going to practice. Here's what I'd like us to do. On the ends of your tables, you have paper that looks like this. If everyone could just take a piece, one piece of paper. So here's what we're going to do. So before, I can feel it coming. I can feel the conversation coming back. So before that happens, here's what we're going to do. Once everyone has a piece of paper, find a pen, and somewhere on the paper, but maybe in the middle, of a reasonable size that's readable if you had it on a wall, just write your name, just your first name. And then what we're going to do, we'll do about 5 or 6 minutes of this, but like you're going to write your name, and once that's done, everybody is just going to take their paper and just pass it to the right, and we're going to go all around the table, and what I need you to do when you receive somebody else's paper is write one thing that is cool about them, good about them, that is a strength of theirs, that you noticed today, that like helped you feel uplifted, right? One thing about, and I think you can do it, one thing about each person at your table. When you get their paper, you just write your one thing. It doesn't have to be a novel or an essay or an autobiography, just a word, 2 words, or a sentence. But so first, let's write our names. And then when you gauge that your table is ready, you can start passing. We'll have about 6 minutes to do that. So what I wanted at the end of all of this good conversation and this deep connecting, was that you would have something to take with you. So that sometimes, like if you're having a tough day, if you're feeling a little out of steam, you can just look at it and know you have value. You have strength. You have worth. People care. And you're okay. And you're going to be okay, even though the work is hard. And you have community. And you have each other. And you have this space. And we hope you'll return to this space. And that we're here. Everyone's here. Even those of us who can't Bitmoji are here.
We're going to create your avatar for you.
Thank you. Please, like somebody has to. I'm very modern in some ways and very like, what's going on in other ways. So this is how I balance out my stuff. We've really come to the end of today. Sorry, like that sounded really catastrophic. We've come to the end. No. So I want to do just 2 quick things. I want to share just a couple of resources. And then I just want we're going to do a little, one of the resources is movement to just kind of just let it all go, okay? I will also remind you, Sudhi and I were checking in, so there is a Google Doc.
Yes, there is, many of you have asked over time in the feedback that you provided through the surveys about connecting with one another. So much of today was about that. Sarah took us on a journey to find different ways. You have found your own ways to connect with one another between the cafes. There was a Google Doc that was sent out in the summer, not the best time to send it out, for you guys to share your contact information and asking for your permission to then share that out with the Friday Cafe listserv. So it just seems to be a very natural follow-up to this, our morning together, so please be on the lookout for it. And that's another way that we will facilitate and support you connecting with one another between the Friday Cafes. So just be on the lookout for it. Yes, ma'am.
So if we neglected to answer in the summertime, are you sending out the ones again?
That's exactly what we're doing. So after this, after today, we will just send it out to the entire listserv again because we realized that wasn't good timing. And maybe we'll do it a few times. But just be on the lookout for it and respond if you would like to share your contact information.
Absolutely. So I already showed you the trauma stewardship book, and then this is a gem that I just picked up at the National 0 to 3 conference. It's called 10 Mindful Movements, and it is a beautifully illustrated, but just takes you through like 10 simple, like not space-consuming movements that just help you stay in your body and get grounded. I'd like us to do one before we leave, with permission. If we could stand up. And no, don't worry, no jumping jacks or anything crazy. It's, yeah, so just make sure you have a tiny bit of space around you. You're not gonna poke somebody in the eye. You don't need that much. Aurora. It's cool. Okay, so let's just take a minute and breathing in, put it out again. I'm going to show you, and then we'll do it 3 times, because 3 seems to be the magic number for these things. So all we're going to do, we're basically doing just a stretch up to the sky. So we're going to, on breathing in, we're going to go and reach up as high as you can, and then breathing out, arms come down. So like I said, we're going to do that just 3 times in a row. Here we go. And breathing in, arms come up. And breathing out, arms come down. And again, arms come up and down. Last one, arms up and down. Happy Friday, you guys. We are done.